Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to round 3 of the PNF4. My name is Anders, and I will be your host for these evening's highlights. To yourself too. If you enjoy the content that you view on this channel, make sure you like and subscribe, and more importantly, get involved. We would love for more of you guys that watch to join us, and it's very easy to do and free on our website, PNTCC. But first, let's see what happened in qualifying. So we're now joining qualifying with 1 minute left to go. Currently watching John Patterson come round the final corner. Steve, a rando who didn't sign up for the race, was in P1, but 66 has just crossed over the timing line to do a 1:46.8, which ultimately gave him pole. Anders was in P3, 1.9 seconds behind 66 today, with a huge amount of lack of practice clearly showing for the championship contender. Fabrice Lamy again on a flying lap, but sadly the Fabrice Lamy effect kicked in and struggled to get his final quick lap down after running a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner. Graham Kirkpatrick, however, sadly also going slightly off track and is unable to complete his lap time. The interface is looking a little bit better, but it's still not working properly. For goodness sake, Anders, sort it out. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I just had to do that. But so you can see 66 takes P1, Steve takes P2, Anders takes P3, Letterme P4, Patterson P5, Kirkpatrick P6, and Lemming P7. So the cars are lined up for this 25-minute race of round 3 of the PNF4 here at the Hungaroring. There is our final sitter, Steve in P2. We're currently focusing on Cool Kid Sunny, apparently, according to the auto director, as the lights go counting up to 6. And off they go, and off we pop for round 3. And it's a fabulous start there by 66, coming across to close the angle for T1. Cool Kid Sunny also getting a great start. Anders also getting a fairly decent start, trying to tuck it around the outside of Steve, but thinking better of it, knowing that, quite frankly, he is a little bit slower than the 2 cars ahead. All the other cars make it through unscathed. We head down the hill now into T3, technically. And Steve is trying to look to get on the attack early against 66. As we head up to the fast left-hander, let's see if we have any casualties on the first lap. So far it looks relatively unscathed. Everyone makes it through fairly well. And up the hill we go. See, Anders is trying his absolute hardest, pedaling like mad to keep up with the front 2. And through sector 2 we go, the fast S's. And Sambala Steve is trying to keep the pressure on 66 here, nice and early. Not allow him to get away. You can see Patterson there in the purple, pinkish purple. F4 running a little bit wide out of the exit there. Oh, and you can see in the background actually that Patterson did indeed run wide again, so that's Graham Kirkpatrick up into P5. And so far, lap 1 has been rather clean. And out the final chicane we go. And we seem to have a couple of clusters of cars already after lap 1. As Steve is still going to get down the inside of 66 into T1. 6 is not defending it. Maybe try and carry a bit of speed round the outside. Not quite able to do so. And Steve moves quite smoothly up into P1. And it looks like Patterson is off the circuit. Yellow flag in sector 1. And it looks like there's not been the greatest of starts for Patterson, sadly. Probably missed his braking point into T1 hairpin. In the background there you can see Anders and Fabrice Lamy. Not really much to split them. And Anders runs a little bit wide there. Through the fast left-hander. But it's just unable to match the pace of our front 2 cars so far in this race. through the chicane. There you go. And even though we are still quite early into the race, you know, only 3 minutes in, but you can just tell that people are starting to settle down already. It's a 25-minute race. There's plenty of time for something to happen throughout the field. So don't need to be too hasty, but I would imagine being in 66 position is not the funnest of areas, especially with the dirty air coming off the wash, as it's called, coming off the car in front. You can just see they're taking slightly different angles there through the last corner. 66 trying to find as much grip as possible, and Anders is really shallow coming out of that final corner there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fabrice Lemmy was able to attempt to move going into T1. And here we are now moving over to Fabrice Lemmy, staying behind Anders for now. Can he get anything done down into turn 3 as we move back towards 66? And you can see in the background Fabrice Lemmy and Anders haven't swapped positions. But 66 is definitely trying to put the hustle. Oh, and Anders run massively wide there. And somehow still holds on to P3. I believe this is the moment where I actually canned it to Fabrice Lemmy to watch out in the timing board. There we go. So Fabrice Lemmy moves into P3. But sadly, that was not meant to be, as in literally one corner later, Fabrice Lemmy has some technical problems with his audio equipment. Could not hear the car. And you can, you just saw a quick snapshot there of Fabrice Lemmy. Pulled over the side of the road. He had to completely unhook his audio equipment and put it back in. And you can see Steve running wide there through, I can't think what it is, turn 12 maybe? And that's allowed 66 on through. And Steve possibly kicking themselves a little bit there. And you can see that yellow flag for Fabrice Lemmy is still going. I believe he ended up being something like 50 seconds behind in the end, which is a long old gap really. And down into T1 we go. And once again, Steve just putting the car on the inside, not allowing 66 to get the switch back, but 6 does have the inside line going into turn 3. Oh, and 6 is trying to hook it round the outside here, carrying as much speed as possible. And he gets the move done, or does he? They're side by side going up the hill. Who is going to concede? 66 concedes. And Steve has regained the lead after some rather brilliant driving there from the Frenchman. Almost running a little bit wide on the uphill section there. But great move by Steve to take the lead of the race. There wasn't a great deal that 66 did wrong there. But you can just probably feel the frustration of 66. Just building up just that little bit. But remember, Steve is an invitational race driver today. And we are now with Graham Kirkpatrick, who is trying to chase down Cool Kid Sonny for P4 of this race. It did look like Graham went a little bit wide. And now we're back to the P2 driver, 66. Around the final corner, half a second behind, should have a little bit of toe effect, maybe, or maybe just slightly out of reach now. Does seem to be about the half a second mark. He needs F4s. 66 is trying his absolute best here to keep up with Steve. He's really struggling to do so. But we move back to the battle for P4. As Graham Kirkpatrick is trying to put the pressure on Sonny here. Sonny running a little bit wide, a bit shallow into that right-hander. Just sucks all of the acceleration out of the corner. But this is wonderful to see. Battles throughout the field in the PNF4. Oh, and Sonny spins! And Graham sadly gave him a bit of a hit on the way through. Luckily, damage is limited, so they'll both have a little bit of damage, but not a great deal. Sonny just losing the rear end there through the right-hander, getting on the gravel and not able to correct himself quick enough. Tried to stop to get out of the way, but sadly just colliding with Graham Kirkpatrick, who now moves into P4. But the gap is still less than a second between the two of them. And you can see the two front drivers are now 6 seconds ahead of P3. And here is Cool Kid Sonny, already chasing down Graham Kirkpatrick. And who are we on board with now? We are watching 66 trying so hard to keep up with Steve. But one slip up by Steve and 66 will be on there to pounce as long as he's within good race distance. So for those wondering, the delta that you can see down the right hand side of the driver's name, that's to the car in front, not to the leader. So Fabrice Lamy is currently 30 seconds behind Patterson. And by the looks of it, closing the gap quite smoothly. So all is not lost for Fabrice Lamy, and there is the whole reason why you should never give up in a race. You just do not know what's going to happen to the in front of you. You don't know what cars might make what errors. And you never know what sort of result you're going to get. As we're on to lap 7. Not quite halfway through the race yet, but 66 is slowly losing the gap to Steve ahead of them. And sometimes it's best just to not say anything when it comes to racing like this, because you can tell that it's a little bit chess-like. The gap isn't quite close enough for the battle to be exciting or extravagant. As we now move to P7 of Patterson, who's chasing down the car P6 of Lemming. Lemming didn't have a great race in round 2, spinning on the first corner of the first lap, causing a little bit of a pile-up. And then spinning again a few cars later and running quite wide there, which is going to allow Patterson up the inside in chicane, but Patterson just lets him keep going, lets him go through. And I feel like Patterson should be a little bit higher up the field here. I think he's had a couple of errors. And he did admit after the race that Hockenheimring is not his go-to pick, really. As Cool Kid Sonny has got the gap down to Graham ahead to half a second, sorry. So the battle for P4 is on. We are over halfway through the race now. A little bit of drifting action there, bit of a power slide there by Cool Kid Sonny. Nice exit out of the corner. Both of them turned a little bit early there into T1 by the looks of it. But Sonny's looking like he's just slowly cranking the pressure up. Slowly getting in bigger and bigger into the rear view mirrors, sorry, of Graham Kirkpatrick. To the point, I wouldn't be surprised if he may try and make a move fairly soon. He's got the gap down from 1 second at the beginning of the last lap to absolutely nothing now. But anyone that's an F1 fan knows that the Hungaroring is not the easiest of circuits to overtake on. And Graham takes a really shallow line there. And that should allow Sonny a really nice drive. It really does. Oh, a little bit of a bump there on the rear. You can just see Sonny didn't know what to do with that speed. He was catching up to Graham so quickly. And all he had to do was just let off that little bit earlier, get the power down, and he would have had a fantastic run into the right-hand hairpin. Or the 90-degree right-hander. And now we're currently watching 66. Who's still doing a mighty fine job of keeping up with Steve. 1:47.439 is the fastest lap for 6, as you can see in the center or lower center of your screens. As we move back to P7 of John Patterson, trying to chase down again Lemming, the American. Oh, drifted into that left-hander. Just braking a little bit too late there, Lemming. It's upsetting the car. And this time John has got a hell of a drive. Not able to make anything of it quite yet. Going to try and tuck around the outside, maybe? No. Again. Whoa! And they both run wide, going through the chicane. I'm a bit glad that we moved away from there. That actually looks quite exciting. The gap is less than half a second between P7 and P6. I want to see what's going on there. Thank you, Auto Director. Right. Patterson is still putting Lemming under a fair bit of pressure. This is really good experience for Lemming. Remember, Lemming is very new to online sim racing in general. So each lap that he gets under his belt is a good lesson to be had. 66 is still trying to chase down Steve, but Auto Director, we really, there's a battle going on here, maybe for P6, but there's a battle going on. We can see that Patterson has got the gap down to 3 tenths. And Cool Kid Sonny is also, well, still a fair bit behind. Graham Kirkpatrick, Auto Director, has not picked the right battle here yet again, but Sonny does run wide, so it clearly knew something we didn't. And Patterson, who is apparently who we're watching, which we're not, has now managed to move ahead of Lemming. There we go. And has managed to get ahead of Lemming, probably into T1. And Lemming runs wide, just carrying a little bit too much speed through the downhill left-hander. And Patterson is fighting a day for Fabrice Lemmy, however, shout out, is down, got the gap down to 17 seconds with 7 minutes remaining. Whether he can do much more is the question to be asked. Now back to the battle for P4. Sonny is almost 2 seconds adrift now of Graham Kirkpatrick, and Lemming is spun out at the chicane by the looks of it. Yellow flag in sector 2. Oh, and who was that off? That's Graham Kirkpatrick. Graham Kirkpatrick has gone off and Sonny moves into P4. No idea what happened to Kirkpatrick there. He must have just had a little bit of a light up at the rear wheels. And just powered out the corner a little bit too hard. So that's Graham Kirkpatrick down to P5. But it's got a hell of a run on Sonny coming out of the final corner there. And he's got the position back into P4. Or has Sonny managed to... Oh, almost got a really lovely switch back there. But even though Kirkpatrick made a big error, he's back fighting for P4. Now it's just whether he can hold on to it. Sonny is looking rather feisty right now. Through the chicane they go. Oh, Graham having to cut it, in fact. Just carrying a little bit too much speed. Oh, and very shallow into that right-hander again. Much better this time from Sonny. Much better. Can he get a move done into the hairpin? Not quite. He's just not quite close enough. Sonny trying to make the track as wide as possible to carry as much momentum. Up the hill they go around the final corner. Can Sonny get anything done into T1? He needs a good exit here, which, even though he ran a little bit wide, he's definitely got. Graham does go defensive, middle of the circuit sort of stuff. And the toe is just not quite strong enough, I don't think, as Sonny dives down the inside, forcing Graham to run a little bit wide, but Graham's got the cut back and has got on the acceleration sooner. What is going to happen here? Tries to get a cut back again, but Sonny defends it beautifully through turn 3. And now Sonny has got P4, but it's definitely not over. Graham is definitely going to maybe try a mountain attack into the faster right-hander, and Graham completely spins him off. That was very opportunistic there, I would say, is the word. But it does the PNR thing. We have one basic rule. If you cause an accident, you wait. And you let the other driver get back onto the circuit ahead of you. That way, you're both affected. It's as simple as that. Oh, and Sonny gets a very poor exit. It seems to be whoever's in front out of these two gets a poor exit out of that right-hander. And Graham, John Patterson in the background is just making his own racing line, and Graham dives down the inside into the right-hander, gets the move done. Oh, Sonny tried to go down the left-hand side of Graham, but there was just no room there whatsoever. And now Patterson has joined the party. These two have been battling so hard this lap that Patterson's managed to get within, well, just about a second. Fabrice Lemmy now into P7, 14 seconds behind Patterson with 2.5 minutes left to go. Graham going defensive into T1. Didn't really need to. Or quite shallow into T1 maybe. And it's just whether Sonny can mount any sort of challenge before the end of the race. We have, well, this lap +1 to go based off of the time left. And you can see Patterson is doing his own version of Hungaroring there in the background. And Sonny runs a little bit wide going up the hill. Almost dipping his tyres into the gravel trap. And it looks to me, based off the gap that's currently happening here, I think Graham might have this in the bag. Don't think much more is going to happen in this battle. I could be wrong. I mean, the gap is now back down to half a second, so with one final lap to go, I guess anything really is possible. But Patterson is now in the mix here as well, ready to pick up any of the spoils that happens. But in all fairness, in those two corners alone, Graham has now got the gap back to 1 second. So I think the battle for P4 for Sonny is over, but a battle for P5 might be just beginning with the final lap of the race, lap 14. It's just whether Patterson can find that extra half a second is probably what's needed around the circuit to get the move done. And Sonny is a bit of a rock and a hard place here. It's not a great deal he can do ahead, but as long as he's mistake free, there's not a great deal he needs to worry about behind. You can see that the race is in fact over, apparently, or the timer is up. Patterson runs a little bit wide. I wonder if Forward Director is going to take us to our P1 driver, Steve. Patterson is completely making his own race line there. I'm going to say it by the looks of it, Steve has crossed over the line to take P1. 66 is P2. We are watching this battle for P5. Anders did finish in P3. Graham Kirkpatrick is about to come around the final corner to take P4. And I think Sonny is going to live for another day. Sonny is going to get P5 in the PNF4 round 3. Patterson will get P6 for Bruce Lemmy with an incredible recovery drive. Getting it down to around about 15 seconds from being 50-5-0 to 15-1-5. Absolute epic drive from Bruce Lemmy. I've got a funny feeling with his consistency, he could very well have challenged for P2. Although the lap times might not quite have been quick enough. And Lemming crosses over the line to finish in P8. So we can see Steve is our race winner and the fastest lap of the race with 147.362. 66 in P2 with a 147. Anders in P3 with a 148. Graham in P4, Sonny P5, Patterson P6, Bruce Lemming P7, and Lemming P8. But because of the invitational invite of Steve, how has that affected the overall standings? So overall, 66 got the points for P2 as it's kind of structured within our championship. He didn't win, so we can't really get the full winning points. So he is in P1 in the standings with 75. Anders is in P2 with 72, only 3 points behind. We have a joint third position between Graham after a great result and John Patterson, Hugh Janus with 54 points. Jamsky unable to attend due to, in the nicest way, being an absolute legend and doing a huge favour to me today, aka Sunday, taking me to the other side of the country to pick up a car. Lava Lemming is in P6 after finishing off in P8 in today's race for 2 points. Bruce Lemmy is P7 with 36 after only attending 2 rounds. And Cool Kid Sonny getting their first amount of points in the PNF4 in P8 after a very strong P5 result. So we have 3 rounds left of the PNF4. Next week's round is at Circuit de Shard. If you wish to get involved, again, all you have to do is head over to prettyninjaracing.com. It's completely free, very easy to sign up, and all you have to do is hit that beautiful little green button that says join, and pick your car skin, and jobs are good. It's that simple. Also, you can check us out in the Discord, and if you've made it to this point in the video and you've not liked or subscribed to this video, come on. You're here, just do it. It's all good. Thank you very much. Cheers for doing that. And without further ado, ladies and gents, I will see you next week, next Sunday, for round 4 of PNF4. I've got a funny feeling this championship is only going to get closer. But until next time, look after yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.